Hello, everybody. Welcome to episode 12 of the Four Wide Podcast. We are three people deep right now. We got Mr. Bolaco with us today,
What's up, everybody? Good to be with y'all.
and he's not looking like a nice Roma tomato today. He's looking kind of normal, so that's nice.
Yeah.
And then we got Senor Morris with us today.
Konnichiwa.
Okay, I know that one. That's one I. It took a couple of weeks, but I finally found one that I knew. It's great. Oh boy, I'm here, of course, and Kent is MIA.
MIA.
He might be joining us. We don't know anymore.
Said the in-laws are in town, so
It's a bad sign when
Man, I need a creamer for my
coffee.
coffee too. Dang.
Just turn your camera off and just go get your creamer. We can save the other creamer for later. All right. Well, we have this thing. It's called a social media account. Y'all should probably go follow it.
Unless you're a boomer.
Wide. Yeah,
we want boomers too.
Yeah.
Do we?
Just not just screaming in the comment section, but yeah, we'll pleasantly take them at this point. But it's the letter 4 spelled out wide pod on Instagram. We're on Facebook, but you can just find it straight up, and good stuff right there. So make sure you follow us to see our posts when we're at the races. I posted a few videos up of Jesse Love's burnout and whatnot, and
it didn't count.
Yeah, it didn't count. The confetti that I got at Victory Lane doesn't count.
Smith doing a burnout.
Yeah, it's tough, man. It's a tough life that we live. But to recap, we will start with the Blacks Tire 200, which was the truck race. We had 5 cautions for 33 laps, a pretty clean truck race, in all honesty. 11 lead changes between 9 drivers. Of course, Koryam had the fastest lap, so I think he's just going to keep piling those fastest laps together to be able to get 25 points like Kent got the other week, try to pass us all in our little competition. And then noticeable finishes. P1 finally have Tyler Ankrum. How about those engineers? Got him to victory lane.
They did, man. Talk about the cheat.
Wasn't his like console on fire or something like that?
Probably.
I don't know.
He was saying something about his like dash or something like caught on fire mid race, and he still was able to win.
Maybe
pretty neat.
Ought to catch on fire more for him to win.
Surprised NASCAR didn't take the win away.
Probably a rigged job by the engineer just to get back at him.
Screw you, Fricker.
It's a little combustion, random combustion.
You want to criticize us publicly? Let's just see how this publicly for you.
Oh man! So P2, you had Jake Garcia. He was actually the pole sitter of this race. So it was like a really good performance by him overall. He kind of, towards middle of the race, he kind of fell back. But of course, with the fuel strategy and whatnot, he was able to get a P2. So that's a good finish for him. Have Daniel Hemrick. He was one that you kind of expect to be in the running. P4, you had Raja. P5, you had Grant Enfinger. P6, Caden Honeycutt. P7, Jack Wood. It's a great finish for Jack Wood. P8, Heim. Of course, Heim kind of got shafted by not pitting, which, I mean, even when I was watching the race, I was like, why didn't he just pit? P9, you got Mosak. And P10, you had Gio Ruggiero. I thought Gio was going to win it for a while. And then he had to go in and get some old Fiolo. Same thing with Chandler Smith. I couldn't keep up with the last 10 laps at the track. I had no freaking clue what was going on. There's people wobbling.
I bet that was like at the 2017 Coke 600 Cole, just watching everybody run out of fuel there the last few laps with Jimmy Johnson and all them, and then Austin Dillon wins. I bet that's exactly what it's like.
The only problem with that is, one, you don't have a podium, so you're not able to see who they have tracked, at real time. So you have no clue.
No scoreboard or anything?
There's an old school scoreboard in the back, but they didn't even use it, and it's only got 5 positions on it. So
that's how it's always been there.
Yeah.
Not like a big television, not a scoreboard. I'm sorry.
They had a little mini TV, but there was no way you could see the scoreboard on it. But drivers with issues, Norm Benning, good old Norm.
Too slow.
Too slow is the official NASCAR rendering on that.
So they parked him. Said,
You had Carroll,
Nebraska
Malzoni, Click. Yeah.
Tigers.
Hold on. What did you say?
"Me or Blake?"
Say it again.
Said Carol Baskin.
And then what did Blake say?
And then I sponsored by Tigers.
Okay. He cut out Tanner Gray, and then Stuart Friesen ended up in the grandstands pretty much, getting thrown into that turn. Man, he was pissed. He was cussing his crew chief out. That was wild. Well, I mean, Tyler Ankrum got his first win of the season, but not just his first win of the season, but his second in his career, the first time since he's won since 2019, and I think at Kentucky. So,
Yeah.
he's been competitive. I mean, he's not been one that's, just not done anything. He's been in top fives, top tens, especially this year. Even going back to last year, there was a couple of races that you would think that he was in a running for. And I think Austin was even quoted earlier this year on the podcast as saying he's going to get one at one point.
Mm-hmm.
Which, I mean, we say the same thing about Sheldon Creed, but we're still waiting at this point.
I'm sick.
But I mean, just talk about Tyler Ankrum's win, especially when it come to, it wasn't a win that he necessarily won. It was his whole crew won him that race with the fuel strategy, telling him to back off and whatnot. Because I mean, he was like 5, 6, 7, 8,000 years away from anybody else because he's trying to conserve fuel, and you could tell it at the racetrack. But I'm gonna throw it to Austin here since he's been talking about Ankrum here for the first little bit of the season.
Yeah, I think I was the first one to pick him too for our competition. I mean, Ankrum, it's good to see him back in victory lane, even though he kind of didn't make any friends with his post race interview a couple races ago. But he didn't really have the dominant car or truck, I guess you could say. He really didn't have the dominant car. I wouldn't even say he was in the top 5 of the best cars that were in the field. I think most of us who watched the race thought it was going to be Honeycutt or Riggs there at the end who was going to take the win. And then, Ankrum, thanks to his pit crew and his crew chief, made a good call and got him in position. And we saw, clean air was important there. Not as important as other tracks, but it was important there. And then once he had conserved that fuel, had enough, he set sail, and no one was going to catch him. So it's good to see him back in victory lane. I mean, 2019, that's a long time. I mean, we hadn't raced in Kentucky in a long time. It's good to see him back in victory lane, and hopefully it kind of gets some momentum, because I don't hate the guy. I think he honestly has one of the best schemes in the truck series, that Liuna scheme. Who does he race for again?
Bill McAnally.
Bill McAnally.
Yeah.
Not super top tier equipment, but yeah, good to see him in victory lane.
All right, Blake, take it away.
I mean, I'm happy for his team. I'm not really particularly happy for him.
Gosh.
I mean, but if you just want to be honest, I just don't, personally, I don't respect somebody who publicly criticizes the guys back at the shop the way he did, just as a race fan, because I don't know. I just don't think that's very classy. I do appreciate.
Should be handled internally if you're
Yeah,
gonna.
absolutely. And I know, you take a look at when the Hendrick drivers have problems with each other. I mean, it's not really great for TV because you don't really get much drama out of it, but they go and they sell behind the scenes, and that's probably how it should be, right? But um, I think, last year that team had a Christian Eckes, and now this year it's got a Daniel Henrik, and I think they're, especially with how successful Eckes was last year in that 19th truck, I think you can tell they've taken another step towards greatness this year. Henrik's already gotten a win, and now Ankrum. But yeah, I don't know. I was kind of like Switzerland when it came to Tyler Ankrum. I wasn't really I wasn't really for him. I wasn't really against him. That the whole blaming the engineers, man. It's just like, how long have you been racing? And you've got at that time one win. It's like, at what point is it the engineers? So I'm happy for the team. I'm happy. I mean, I like a lot of the other drivers that race there, but I'm happy. I'm happy Rockingham was back.
Yep.
Yeah,
I was too. I was at the race, and
yeah.
it was I told them straight up, I'm like, I was there for the first race at North Wilkesboro, the truck race and the cup race, and I'm like, it can't even hold a candle to it. Like, the track's just got so many different ways to pass, or so many grooves. I mean, throwing it into turn one and turn two, it looks like they're jumping off the side of a cliff, is what it looks like when they're going through. It's wild.
That looked
So,
repaved too.
mm-hmm.
Yeah, because I could tell that second and the third line was starting to form, but man, here in a few years when that high line comes in, that's going to. I mean, it's already a bad at the bone track, what it seems like, but man, it's going to be awesome here in a couple of years when that high line comes in.
Yeah, there was a few people that were able to take it three wide and make passes, but of course that was more or less just cutting air off somebody else that they were able to make those passes. But it was fantastic racing. I mean, just watching, which I'll talk about in the Xfinity series, but there's particular drivers that you could watch from going from the back to the front was just wild. The amount of passing, it was a very beautiful thing to see, especially coming back to a new track. You're always worried about, hey, is this going to live up to the expectations? And especially the notoriety that Rockingham has for NASCAR. It's one of those pinnacle tracks that you think about. I know Austin was talking. He said that he really enjoyed the truck broadcast. They were able to really encompass everything. So I'm going to throw it to him first on that and let him talk about the overall broadcast.
Well, it was, for once, Fox had a good broadcast. It was an interesting crew. You had Jamie Little, you had Michael Waltrip, you had Carson Hocevar. He really looked like a baby next to those two. I mean, it's like a newborn baby next to two turtles. But he
Hey,
it was really good. I think Carson provided a good perspective, a lot of good perspectives throughout the race, because just 2 years ago he was in those trucks. They haven't changed. So and it was also interesting hearing Michael Waltrip's experience, because he has raced at this track. He has experience racing there. He has experience wrecking there too. He was the one that hit the water barrels during the Xfinity race, or during the it was Xfinity race one year. He hit the water barrels down pit road.
Kyle Larson-esque.
They literally showed it. He loses control of the car, slides sideways, and just takes out 8 rows of water barrels.
Man, that's dirty. That's
Water,
real dirty.
water just goes
Fox.
just everywhere. But it was a really good broadcast with Carson's perspectives on how the trucks run, and just, I guess, from what he's known from running sims, I guess, of Rockingham, because he hasn't ran the actual thing. And then Michael's experience of, because the character of the track is still the same, even though there's a repave. The character of the track hasn't changed in the last 20 years or so. And then Jamie did a pretty good call with the play-by-play, I guess you could say. It was an exciting race. There was lots of drama, lots of action. Probably aside from the all drivers broadcast, probably one of the best broadcasts that NASCAR has had in a while, or Fox has had in a while.
It's definitely good and gratifying to hear. What about your opinions on the broadcast, Blake?
yeah, I love the truck broadcast. Just to be clear, I thought they all did a great job, and it's really a shame. I mean, I don't know if y'all seen this or not, but on social media, like, some people apparently been like criticizing Jamie Little as the play-by-play announcer. I'm like, why? She's doing a fantastic job. You know, I
I think
I think personally, I mean, because you look at it, I mean, it's hard to get chemistry in the truck booth when you've got multiple guys who are rotating out each week, and so I mean, I think she's doing a fine job. I mean, and it's the truck series, I mean, so I think for that she's doing a great job. Hocevar added some. I mean, obviously Michael Waltrip has a lot of driver personality, just he himself, right?
No, not Michael.
But Hocevar added It whereas Michael Waltrip's like that awesome like nostalgic figure in the broadcast booth. Hocevar kind of added a modern day driver feel to it, and I loved it. He brought in his Dale jacket, I think in like the second stage was it? So I thought that was pretty good. And Hocevar, he's y'all correct me if y'all think I'm wrong, but to me he almost seemed like a natural up there. It just flowed. I mean, I don't know how else to describe it. It just flowed like he was just so in tune with what was going on, and it was awesome.
Well, he has a little bit of experience with the driver's broadcast, being on pit road and stuff, and of course that's a different aspect of it. But I mean that you still have to play into everything being on schedule, getting the information to the people and the broadcast as quickly as possible. But I'll let Austin take it since y'all know actually watched the broadcast.
I think if I had to make one change, I mean Carson did great, but I think if I had to make one change, I would have tried to get Chastain in the booth, because Chastain tested in
Yeah.
January with the trucks, and he wasn't running the trucks, and he wasn't running Xfinity, he wasn't running obviously Cup, he would have been off. That's one. If I had to, make one suggestion, adding Chastain to the booth, just adding that perspective of he's raced on it on the old surface and he's raced on it on the new surface as well with the testing in January. The only thing I'm really disappointed in with Hosafar is he didn't plug Ride the Dente.
Yeah, it's true. It's important. I mean, you got to throw the sponsors out there.
That song was stuck in my head after they sponsored the ARCA race in Daytona. I swear that stupid thing was stuck in my head for weeks.
But real quick, I loved his suit, his fire suit, a
Yeah.
couple of weeks ago with the overalls. That was great.
Yeah.
I think Justin Haley had the same thing when he was running. So, yeah, I mean, I'm glad the broadcast did the race justice because, I mean, just even watching practice, I was just like, man, these suckers are throwing it into these corners and are able to really hang this groove. And I think an important thing that Austin brought up is clean air was king, but it wasn't like clean air and then you're set and sail because people could actually catch you.
Mm-hmm.
Honeycutt got in clean air and Lane Riggs chased him down. I mean, there was several instances in the truck race. And we'll also get to another great indicator in the Xfinity race when we talk about the battle for 1 and 2 towards the end of that race. And
Literal 1
seeing,
and 2.
yeah, I mean, it's like wild. But yeah, it was a really electric atmosphere for a truck race. It was probably about 85-90% full capacity for a truck race, which is insane to
On a
think
Friday
about.
at 5 p.m.
Well,
Exactly. On Easter weekend.
yeah, I was about to say on Easter weekend in the South on Good Friday.
I mean, it was insane. It wasn't as rowdy as Saturday, of course, but it was still rocking pretty good. But last thing that I'll mention about this, and we'll talk about it just for a few moments, is just how nice is it to have a race that ends in fuel strategy? Because you don't have that happen anymore. You could attribute that to, of course, your stage brake cautions. You got 2 cautions, you're guaranteed to fill up on gas. At certain points, there's no drivers that are going to sit there and try to cut stages a lot of the times that are going to be competitive for the win at the end of the race. They're more or less going to be like drivers that are like, I need points badly. I mean, I'm 15th, 18th, 20th in points. I need to get whatever points I can. But how nice was it to have a race where you didn't know what the outcome was going to be when it came to those last 10 to 15 laps without it being like a Talladega or Daytona?
I'll be honest, I miss the fuel strategy races. Now, do I want to see it every week? No. But it's nice to see probably once every 10 races or so. Once every 8 or 10 races. I think it kind of reminded me of, back in like mid 2000s, like Pocono. It seemed like that track would always end in a fuel strategy race. Now, this race was overall a lot better than the mid 2000s Pocono races, but that's kind of what it reminded me of. It's like, yeah, I mean, it's almost nostalgic just watching a fuel mileage race at this point.
Yeah, I enjoyed it too. I enjoy fuel strategy racing because I think that is, it's one thing to drive it, but it's another thing. Can you manage how much gas that you're using up? Can you manage that? Can you conserve fuel while also keeping a fairly decent lead? To me, that's true racing right there. Because it not only boils down to the driver, but it boils down into the person running the numbers on the pit box, saying, okay, do we have enough gas left in the tank to finish this thing out? And it also comes down to the gas man. Is he staying connected long enough to get enough, Sunoco fuel? Is he as fast as Xfinity internet? Getting that thing in and out. I'll take my check. You know, those are the things that I attribute to racing. That's what I think of when I think of good racing. It's not necessarily 1v1 battles for the lead. I think of who has the best strategy coming into a race, who can manage that fuel and hit those windows just right to where they can get the advantage. As we're about to talk about in the Xfinity race, that also played a big factor as well. I think that's why Nashville. Obviously, I enjoyed Nashville last year because Joey won, but aside from that, I enjoyed it because it was a fuel strategy race. How many cars had to drop out because they didn't have enough fuel to get to the end? I find that aspect of racing really fun.
Well, and I think especially when a lot of the cars are the same, it adds a difference to it with the driver and the team, right? On the crunching the numbers and the fuel man, like you said. So yeah, I love a good fuel strategy race here and there.
So points to recap: Heim has 2 wins this year. I thought he had 3, but he should have like 4 or 5 at this point. 4 for sure. Martinsville, and then when his truck cut off on him the other week too. So
There's still
Chandler,
time.
yep, Chandler Smith got a win. Ankrum and Hemrick both got wins in the bank. Lane Riggs is your next driver with 5th. Majetski 6th. Jake Garcia in 7th. Grant Enfinger in 8th. That's kind of where you would expect him. Honeycutt, 9th. Friesen is hanging in there in the top 10 by 4 points.
Wow.
The driver that's chasing him, that's 4 points out, is Gio Ruggiero. You have Ben Rhodes, who's 6 points out, had that catastrophe of power steering fluid issue that happened to him. Tanner Gray, 24 points out, and then Raja in 14th,
I'm
26
surprised. I'm
points out.
surprised Majeski is as high as he is, considering how he royally had his day ruined at Rockingham.
He also wrecked at Martinsville, if you remember.
But he's had really good finishes throughout the rest of the year. I think that's really helped him out.
It's kind of surprising that Ben Rhodes is outside the top 10 too.
He's had
He's
terrible,
been terrible this year.
yeah. I mean, maybe 2 top 10s this year, maybe. I mean, someone could fact check me on that, obviously, but
Yeah, I obviously haven't been paying attention to him too much, but usually he's up in the top 3 or 4. So bad season for him right now.
yeah. And then you got Matt Crafton that's not even in the picture right now, and of course having that issue earlier in the race, man. You hate to see it.
Ben Rhodes has had 2 top 5s.
Okay, I was right with the 2 part, but not. Still, I mean, for a truck that's, I mean, Martinsville was one of those top 5s, wasn't it?
I think so.
And he kind of lucked into that one, in all honesty.
He did. I picked him that week.
Yeah, Austin lucked out that week. All right, and then you got the Xfinity race, 14 cautions for 83 laps. Man, talk about a crowd just dying of heat the whole entire time. Everybody would look around after each wreck, and they were just like, "Come on, man, can't we just get 3 laps in?" 17 lead changes. That's fantastic among 8 drivers. The 39 machine got the fastest lap on lap 167. P1, we had Sammy Smith win the race. P2, Parker Resloff. That is a huge win for that team, especially after not qualifying for COTA earlier this year and having that fiasco where he felt so. I mean, honestly, it seemed like he was really heartbroken over it. So it's good to see him get that. P3, Harrison Burton. I swear Harrison Burton's looking fantastic this year. 4, Brandon Poole. P5, Gray. P6, Austin Hill, able to squeak a top 10 out this week. Josh Williams, P7, probably his first. Yeah, he parked it in the top 10 this week, baby. P8.
So good for that team.
Yeah, I mean, that stops the bleeding for right now. He's still really, really far out in points, but I mean, he just needs to win a race. Win this weekend at Talladega. I mean, all honesty, just do what you got to do. P8, you got Jeb Burton. P9, you got Daniel Dye. He made it to the top 10 once again. He's been having some good weeks here lately. And P10, Jeremy Clements made it into the top 10. And that race car it had some damage to it. I remember earlier in the race, the back fender was like pressed all the way in, so they had to fix it. But he wasn't the only car that had damage, and we will get to that as we go. So, I mean, my main takeaway for Rockingham in regards to the Xfinity race is really encompassed by the way that Ryan Sieg and Jesse Love dueled at the last few laps. Jesse Love, of course, trying to press Ryan Sieg as hard as he can to make him use up all the gas that he has because he's supposed to be saving. And Ryan Sieg wanted to keep P1. So it was a good duel back and forth, old tires versus new tires.
Before that, it was Quapple and Love going back and forth too. Before
Yeah,
that,
exactly. And there was a lot of it like that this weekend. Lane and Honeycutt was kind of the same ordeal. But the way that Sieg ran those laps was just insane to me because it was so much clearer that Jesse Love had the faster car all day long. And then watching Ryan Sieg just like essentially blocking the air off of Jesse Love and keeping him out from running that ideal line really, it really impressed me in all honesty. Of course, we know what ended up happening at the end of the race, but I think that was kind of I think that's more or less my highlight, especially 14 cautions later. I'm still just trying to get my brain to remember everything that happened, but that was just insane to me. So I'll throw it to Blake this time first and just let him talk about that kind of duel back and forth. That was really impressive.
Well, I was obviously rooting for Sieg this week because that's who I picked. But yeah, you can tell Sieg the way that he was aero blocking, the way that he was kind of trying to command the race a little bit. You can tell he learned his lesson from Texas last year, right? Because he should have. I mean, obviously he should have won that race. And then when you see him drift up into like turn one, it's like, what are you doing, right? So it's good to see that. It seems like that he learned from it. And man, if it would have worked out, that would have been awesome to see him win. But I mean, anytime you got a great duel for the lead, I mean, awesome, and it shows what a good job the track did in their prep. It's another testament to just how awesome these Xfinity cars are. It's just the whole gamut of the racing in the Xfinity series is just awesome. They got two good drivers duking it out. I'm sure you did not regret paying money for a ticket this weekend, Cole, watching that.
Not till I got home and realized the guy that won the race didn't actually win the race, but we'll get to that.
Yeah, I'm sure we'll talk about that.
What about you, Austin? What was your main takeaway? Even if you want to talk about Quapple and Love, if you want to talk about that perspective of it, just kind of roll with it.
best race of the year
Xfinity
across
series or
across the 3 series. Best race of the year, in my opinion, just because the nostalgia behind it. We're back at Rockingham, first time in about 20 years. The hype up of Casey Kane, racing again for the first time in probably 10 years at least, 7.
Yeah,
That was cool to see. And then just the racing, the on track performance was great. I mean, usually a lot of cautions is not necessarily a good thing, and there was some cautions that were pretty stupid, but I enjoyed the battles especially for the lead. It's not something we're used to seeing in Cup Series. Battles for the lead consistently. Cole mentioned it. Lane and Honeycutt there for a bit were trading blows back and forth, trying to get in front of each other. And then, obviously Jesse Love had the fastest car. Now we know why, but he had the fastest car for a little bit, and it was him and Quapple. I mean, it was just Quapple would get ahead, he'd get in front for 3 or 4 laps, and then Love would make a move, and he'd get in front of Quapple for 3 or 4 laps, and they would just trade him back and forth, and it was a beautiful dance to watch that. And especially, I was impressed with Quapple. I mean, this is his first time ever, aside from testing, seeing this track, racing it. And granted, what we haven't talked about is there was a great temperature difference between testing in January, a 40-degree testing temperature difference from testing to here. It was like 40 degrees and then um Cole can attest it was probably as
It's
hot.
hot as frick.
It was
Well,
it was
40 degrees.
Celsius.
Yeah.
So just seeing the drivers, you could tell, and they talked about this in practice, both in truck and Xfinity. They talked about it. That the drivers had to adjust, the teams had to adjust because the track was nothing like they ran back in January. And so watching the teams make those adjustments, the battles, I mean, it was just if you're a race fan, and then we talked about it, the fuel strategy played a big factor part of this one as well. That's the reason Sieg didn't win the race. He ran out of gas there towards the end. So they probably should have looked at Jesse Love's fuel tank too, because he kind of had a Joey Logano kind of moment there. He should have been out long before he did. But yeah, it was a great race.
That was my idea too. Is like, or my thinking is, as hard as Jesse Love was pressing Ryan Sieg, you would imagine that he was probably pretty close on gas too. I mean, he had enough to do a burnout, pretty good burnout and stuff. So
Car rolled
maybe,
back in the infield.
yeah, that's where the suspension happened right there. Is when it hit off the groove. It just did it right there, don't you know? That's what RCR is going to say,
He
anyways.
should have just put it into the wall.
He did put it in the wall, but he put the front end in the wall. He should put the back end in the wall. Should did the back end burnout.
Put both sides into it. Figure eight the thing.
Just go around the track one time and just hit the inside retaining wall as hard as you can.
Yeah.
Oops, lost control.
My tire popped. My bad, boys. Because he took 2 tires that stop, I'm pretty sure. So I think that would be a pretty logical thing.
I had a hand cramp.
But I mean, that's the second point here is, Jesse Love had a really impressive car. I would say he probably had the best car. I would say Justin Allgaier had the next best car because I was able to watch Allgaier come from the back all the way up to the front, and that was just amazing. The grooves that he could run. Of course, when you got to the top 10 and then you got 15, 16 restarts, it's hard to make up any time on a long distance car like Allgaier had. But Jesse Love won the race. You drive home, you're like, I got some victory lane confetti. This is awesome. And you get home and look down and see a text from freaking Kent saying, hey, Sammy Smith has won his first race. Well, he's wrong about that. Sammy Smith's won multiple races.
Hashtag not my historian.
Yeah.
The Chrome Domer of the Xfinity.
The true intellectual of our group. But anyways, but I'm like, you gotta be kidding me. You just hate to see it because you go to the track, you watch someone cross the finish line, you see them do their burnout, their celebration, you drive all the way home, and it takes that long for them to be like, hey, he got disqualified. Really, people? So Sammy Smith ended up winning the race, which Sammy Smith probably would have won the race if Jesse Love didn't punt him out of the way. In all honesty, Sammy Smith actually came into victory lane and shook Jesse Love's hand, so that shows there was no animosity.
He said, I'm actually going to be the winner.
Yeah, thanks for the win, bud. Which was weird because I stayed for Love's whole thing where they do the press thing after, where they sit at the track and he talks and everything. I sat there and it did look like he was concerned. So I don't know if they're gave him a heads up, like, hey, something's not looking good over here or whatever. But I mean, what can you say when it comes to one of these DQs at the end of the day? I mean, you can say, hey, it is what it is. But also, it's like it's very embarrassing, in all honesty, to think that someone's won, post everything up, and then boom. Just kidding. He didn't actually win.
Yeah, I've tried to think about this legit from obviously a fan's perspective, but also NASCAR's perspective, right? Because
Let's just say Elton Sawyer at this point.
yeah, Elton Sawyer, right? Like I get you want to have pure winners, but from a fan's perspective, it does suck, and I mean it royally sucks to go to the track, especially if it's out in the heat for 2.5 hours, and think you've think that you've watched somebody win. You're talking about wanting to get their die cast one day, and then boom, all of a sudden, 2-3 hours later, oh, actually no, you didn't see the winner. We just determined the winner. So I don't know. I wish they would go back to just making them an encumbered win where it doesn't really count for playoff eligibility or anything like that, but they get to keep the win, but you don't really get any points. You don't get to do any of that. I wish that that's how it would go back to because it does suck for Mario not to see the winner. I mean, as somebody who like runs stuff myself, like you want to have quality of what you do, right? And so I guess from their perspective, if you've got people who have illegal cars winning, it's like, well, why would you let them? Why not take the win from them, right? To teach them a lesson. So I don't know. I don't know what the right move is, but I just know from a fan's perspective, I used to love going to the track and knowing, hey, you're going to see the winner. Even if they get disqualified, you still saw the winner.
What about you, Austin? Is there anything in regards to you think that they could do other than, of course, like you can't really check the suspension, I would say, on the pit lane, kind of like how you do like the lugs, like they used to, but what can they do to kind of minimize this? I mean, of course, you're always going to have this end up coming up at some point, but is there anything they can do other than what Blake just suggested?
I mean, I don't think it's that serious of a problem. In all honesty, I mean, it doesn't happen that. It feels like it happens more frequently than it actually does, um, because we've had a few instances of that happening. We had that happen. I mean, we've had it happen twice this
Twice,
year
yeah.
with Kligerman at Daytona, and then
Cole's been
um,
I've been screwed both times.
yeah, and then you had the issue where Bowman was DQ'd at the Roval. So really, within the last several years, it's only happened a handful of times. Usually it's pretty rare that someone gets DQ'd from a win. Pretty rare. So either NASCAR has gotten more strict on the rules, or teams are getting a little more handsy with their cars and trying to manipulate things and push the boundaries of what they're allowed to do. I agree with Blake. Ultimately, let them keep the win, let them keep the trophy, but don't give them any of the playoff points. Or maybe even not even giving them the purse that they're due. But hey, you got the win, got the trophy, but that's all you get to show for it. Uh,
went,
I don't know.
and I think of it too. Like Jesse Love probably didn't work on that suspension, right? So
I
His
would
mama
venture
sat on it.
venture to say that he probably did not work on it. Just throw that out there.
and I get the whole you win as a team, you lose as a team, but you do punish a guy who was kind of innocent in it, right? So if you, to me, it's still just if you let him keep an encumbered win, but you punish the team because obviously they're the ones who messed up the suspension, whether it's on purpose or by accident. I mean, they're the team's the one who made the car illegal, right? So make the punishment fit more towards the team side and not the driver. That's just how I look at it. To me, I think that would be a little bit, and everybody wins in that scenario. The fans see the winner, the driver keeps the win, but then the team realizes, oh my gosh, we got 0 points out of this week, and we
It's really not a win for the team.
oh we get zero purse money. especially if you go out west where it costs probably $20,000 just to get there in gas. Oh, we don't get purse money. I mean,
All right, Mister Richard Childress, we gonna have to pay up out of them vineyards.
yeah.
I mean,
Pay up, old man.
I mean, you want to talk about hitting it where it hurts, and that's the purse, especially for this Xfinity series and the Truck series.
I think the last thing that we can really mention with this race is, of course, we talked to Ari about the fuel strategy and regards, but I mean, this race really, really tested the boundaries of fuel strategy. And of course, with that, caused more accidents. You had Christian Eckes not start on the restart and took out 5 cars that could have won the race. In all honesty, you had Brandon Jones, fast car. Especially towards the end of the race, he was climbing up with Allgaier, took out Allgaier as well, and also took out Ryan Sieg, who just, I mean, came in for gas, and there he goes. I mean, it's that. I guess that's probably the other end of the fuel strategy that can be kind of upsetting. It's just when a car doesn't start and then causes mass chaos for, multiple drivers that, I mean, if they didn't get involved in that accident, they would have been pushed up pretty far into the order,
It's
in
not a
all honesty.
it's not a problem until it happens on a restart. Then it's a problem.
Yeah, it's a big problem. Yeah. But, I mean, I don't know if there's really anything that we can say about that other than just saying that fuel strategy, it doubled down and it made for some interesting racing on the truck side. But when it came to the Xfinity side, it kind of got frustrating to the point because you had 2 red flags and it was a whole
baking out there.
yeah. You feel like you're an egg just dying sunny side up. I mean, it's not fun. Not fun at
Y'all
all.
had 0 cloud cover too.
Yeah, it was not fun. It was not fun at all. But I didn't burn. Fun fact.
No sun poisoning.
No
Yay.
sun poisoning.
Wear sandals to this race?
No.
Slides?
We don't wear the slides anymore. Those have been retired
Those
at the racetrack.
talking about is Casey Kane's been out of race.
I mean, yeah, in all honesty, yeah, you're about right.
No sun poisoning and no my wife hitting you in the arm by accident.
Goodness. She felt so bad too, didn't she?
You look like you wanted to cry after she hit it. You were like,
Was that at Charlotte or Darlington?
That was Charlotte.
Man,
Because that was the weekend, Blake, if you remember at the Roval, my skin was like bubbling and peeling off because we were at the not the Roval, the
oh yeah,
Xfinity when we sponsored Maddie D with your ministry and everything. My skin was literally bubbling off.
dude. And poor Cole, he even has jeans on, and
I had a coat and jeans on because I didn't want my skin to come off hard.
I'm almost like, I mean, it looked like my wife was the best shape out of all of us. I mean, she's not really struggling at all, and I'm struggling with hydration. Your skin's bubbling.
It was a wild time, boy, wild time.
Never, just a FYI, if anybody ever wants to sponsor a race, I would highly recommend a night race or a race in February or one in October.
Is that or wear like SPF 2000 sunscreen
Yeah.
so you don't get burnt? All right, boys, we're going to set up a Dega, baby. We got Dega this weekend. We got 2 races, no trucks. Big sad. I swear, I feel like the trucks should race every week.
It's been good racing this year.
Yeah, it's been my favorite series this year, in all honesty. The AG Pro 300, we actually had a giveaway for a set of tickets, and there was only one person that said anything, so I'm going to message him after the podcast and get those. So congratulations to him. It's nobody that we know, so that's even cooler. So hopefully they get to enjoy the nice 100% sunny weekend that Talladega is going to be this. Oh boy.
I need to find a sunscreen sponsor for us, guys. I'm going to get
them. Yeah. You better get on it.
Yeah.
Some drivers that we have here. We got Patrick Emmerling, Eric Almirola, Jeffrey Earnhardt, Jake Garcia starting in the 29, Good old Catherine Legg. She'll probably not qualify and get to jump in another ride. Joey Gase is in the 53 this week. He'll probably just do the same thing. Greg
They
Van
have 2
Alst.
guaranteed cautions. Cool.
Yep,
Now 4 stage.
it's true. Can't forget the 2 stage. The 45, Cesar Barcarella.
Cesar Macarella.
Okay. Joey Gase, 53. 66, Mason Maggio. 87, Austin Green. The number 91 of, help me out, Jesse. Say it again.
Iwuji.
Wooji.
Iwuji.
That's really cool. I mean,
Iwuji.
part part part-time racer, part-time in the Army. That's pretty sick. So I wish him the best this weekend.
Yeah.
But 3 cars will miss the race this weekend. So you got Catherine Legg that's probably going to miss it. Maggio's probably going to be close to missing it. He misses it almost every week in the 66.
Is the 74 running this week?
No, not that I see.
Man, Mike Harmon racing, they've missed like 4 straight races. I've seen some reports that say they might be going out of business soon.
Don't forget, Cletus is an ARCA.
Yeah.
That's true. That's true. I knew it was going to be someone's spicy take this weekend, so I wasn't going to say anything till we got there. But
We've got some exciting ARCA news coming up, Cole. We should think about when we want to announce that.
maybe one day.
Yeah.
Maybe one day.
We'll do it in May.
Did you ever get an email back the other day?
I'll have to check. I don't think so, but I think
I didn't. Yeah,
it is Dega week, so I'm sure it'll come soon.
gotcha. 3 teams that are entered for the Talladega race that are open teams. You got JJ Yaley, number 44. Number 62, you got the Alfredo pasta sauce for Beard Motorsports. And then you got the return to the 78, Jay McLeod. So that's going to be a fantastic race for BJ McLeod to get into because, I mean, in all honesty, he usually does pretty decent at the restrictor plate tracks. So, I mean, it's mainly where he runs, in all honesty, for being completely transparent here. So, we don't have Kent this week. I guess he just decided that he's just dipping out completely. We thought maybe he'd join us halfway through. Yeah, I mean, we're all inclusive here at Four Wide. Let me tell you,
We are some accepting people you will ever meet.
we are very
Don't lie to
supportive.
these folks.
We are very supportive of family. We're huge family advocates around here.
Yeah.
History check from Kent will be MIA this week. So I will throw it to Austin with the track, and he might be able to weave in just a little bit of history just from like baseline with the track proportions itself. So take it away.
For sure. Looking at Talladega, I mean, Talladega.
It's
Boy,
Dega, baby.
it was raised up. Whiskey in your glass. I love this track, guys. I love it. It's always been one of my favorites ever since I was a little kid, even through the tandem drafting. Dega has been my favorite, partly because this is a bucket list track of mine that I got to go to, thanks to especially Blake and Cole. Went there a couple years ago for Blake's Bachelor weekend in the fall, and man, we had a good time. I think quite often about that trip. So Dega has a special place in my heart. Don't really have a ton of history on it. I just know that, if you ever have the chance to go to Dega, do it. It is an awesome experience. Just the history that this track holds. You think of moments in the past, Carl Edwards wrecking out and running across the finish line after being put into the fence. You think of one of the closest finishes in NASCAR history, the one Boyer lost out on. I think of the race we went to. Harvick almost won the race, but it's a good thing he didn't because he would have been disqualified.
Do you think they would have turned the other way? I totally would have.
I don't know. It'd have been interesting. Talladega. It's a special track. It is the largest super speedway that NASCAR races at. It's 2.66 miles long, just over 2.5 miles. Going through the specs of the track, I don't want to focus a ton on the specs because it's a super speedway. What I really want to focus on is what we talked about kind of in Daytona, talking about the big one. I want to talk about that as well. But going through the tri-oval, you hit a pretty steep 18 degrees of banking going through the tri-oval. And the way that Dega is different is the finish line is not in the tri-oval. It is past the tri-oval, almost till you're getting into turns 1 and 2. So after you get to the tri-oval, you go into turns 1 and 2, you go through 33 degrees of banking. And man, some of the steepest banking on the NASCAR circuit. They're going around there 190 miles an hour. Get off turns 1 and 2, you're on the Alabama Gang super stretch on the back stretch. It's almost 3/4 of a mile long. Go down that turns 3 and 4, go into 33 degrees of banking as well, back onto the front stretch. I don't want to get too much into the specs about this track because it's a drafting track. It's a super speedway. It's a plate track. Something we need to talk about, like I said, we need to talk about the big one. And that is appropriate here because Talladega is not the same as Daytona. Yes, it's a super speedway, but I think you two both agree they are two totally different tracks.
Man,
Talladega is a lot wider. It's a lot wider. The finish line is farther out, and the banking is steeper than Daytona. So you have a lot of different factors that play into this. So looking at the big one, we define a big one by, I'd say, over 7 cars is what you would consider a big one. But what I did is I took, like I did for Daytona, I took the last 10 spring races and I plugged in the largest wreck that happened at those tracks. The average total of cars that is involved in the spring race at Talladega is around 10 per big one. There hasn't been a double-digit big one since 2018 in the spring. Fun fact. That's the last double-digit big one that has happened in the spring. The average lap of the big one is 121. So it's either happening in the second stage or it's happening in the final stage. It's one of those two. Rarely does it happen super early. But let's get into the outliers. I think that's important because if you've ever taken statistics, you know that outliers is a big deal when it comes to the statistics. So the first outlier is 2020. In 2020, the spring race, there was no big one in the spring race. The largest crash was 3 cars. That was also, I believe, that was the race that was shortened due to rain, as well. So it was 3 cars, and that was the biggest crash. The most is 2016. 21 cars involved. Massive wreck in 2016.
A lot of sheet metal right there.
That is a lot of scrapyard cars. As far as laps, the earliest lap that the big one has happened at the spring race last 10 years is lap 48. That's the earliest one, and that took out 15 cars in 2015. And the latest lap is 185 in 2023, and that took out 7 cars. So the super big one hasn't happened here in about 5 years, at least for the spring. So it'll be interesting to see. Do we have a true big one this year? Usually, the last several years, it's been between 6 and 7, or no, let's say 5 to 7, between 5 to 7 cars involved. Not a real true big one. Not what you think of when you think of the big one. So it makes you wonder: will there be a double-digit big one this year? Is the streak going to get broken? But just looking ahead at guys who are good here, Brad Keselowski. He has the most active wins here with 6 wins at Talladega. He always runs here, even though he's been struggling in this RFK car. He still runs well at Talladega, and it's just because Brad's good at drafting. Ryan Blaney. He has 3 wins, has one of the highest average finishes at Talladega. He's good. Logano has 3 wins here as well. He usually performs well at plate tracks in general. Busch and Elliott have 2 here as well. So your usual drafting specialists are going to be the ones coming out on top here. I hate to break it to Blake, but tires just aren't really that important. Not really that important this week.
no, they sure. All right, next. No, I'm just kidding. No, the draft is honestly the great equalizer, not just in speed, but truly in tire wear too. It's typical Cup tire. They're running an 18-inch diameter on them. Same left and right side combination they ran at Daytona this year, and there was a little bit of wear, but not enough that it's going to make too big of a difference. It will make a bigger difference in the Xfinity race this weekend, though. You got the same tire combination that they've had at Talladega since 2022. I will say the last repave at Talladega, I do believe, was I want to say 2007. Um, so the track is aging, so that's going to help a little bit on the tire wear, but it's still, I mean, it's still not going to play too much factor because a lot of times what you'll see in a lot of strategy in the fuel savings is people are just going to try to. I mean, you're running half throttle, so that's less tire wear because you're just trying to save all the fuel that you can till the end. That way, you can truly race the last 20 laps. So, but now for the Xfinity series, biggest thing to watch out for if tires are an issue in the Xfinity series, you'll see the cars usually go in a single file line, probably around the top because their cars aren't handling well. So they want to risk not wrecking, so they'll go single file. But if the tires are not wearing, then they'll probably be two by two in a pack. So that's just some things to watch out for the tires this weekend.
Are they gonna have wet tires this weekend?
No, they sure won't.
Why not? It gonna rain. Didn't you see the forecast?
They only do that for mile or lower. No, I actually have not seen the forecast because
Oh, it's terrible.
For rain.
It's gonna rain a lot. I think it's supposed to rain Tuesday through Friday, and it's supposed to have like a 45% chance for Saturday. Then Sunday, it's supposed to clear out to a nice 25%.
RIP all the tent campers in the infield.
So that's what I told Austin. I said they're just going to run all the series on Sunday, I guess, to start crack of dawn,
Yeah.
8 o'clock in the morning.
Hey, I do know Kent's not here on the historical part, but I do know that the reason that the start finish line is in turn one is because Bill France Sr. actually wanted to make those seats more sellable. You know, a lot of times you look at a race, obviously especially at a track that's shaped like Talladega, your start finish line is going to be in the middle of the tri-oval, so a lot of your seats are going to be sold there. Really, any track where the start finish line is, right? But he wanted to make the turn one seats more saleable, and so that's why it's where it's at.
I guess I'll kind of mention a little bit of history. I know back when the track opened in 1969, heck of a year, it was actually, I think, Alabama International Motor Speedway was the
AIMS.
initial name, and they changed it in 89 to just Talladega. I know drivers like Kyle Petty, Darrell Waltrip made their first start here. This is a track that a lot of drivers, it's their first ever start. Davey Allison's first ever win came from Talladega. And I think the one race that my mind usually goes to is 1985 Winston 500 when Bill Elliott came back from 2 laps down under green and had a loose oil line. And he had like an average speed like, I think it was like 186 miles per hour, which is just crazy back in 1985. I mean, why can't Chase Elliott do something like that?
When did Bill Elliott go 200 to 212, 218?
Let's see here. I'll look it up.
It's 212, I think.
Yeah,
I will say it was like late 90s, early 2000s.
1987. Close enough, Austin. But I mean, there's all kinds of interesting facts in regards to Talladega. So many great finishes, even within the last few years. Um, my thoughts go to Blaney, of course, winning multiple races here. I think my favorite is probably when he won in the Dent Wizard card, that white Dent Wizard card.
oh yeah,
That was a fantastic race.
that was a speedway car.
Yep. I think in '88, Mike Hilton actually took over as the chairman for back then for Ames. So, and then Don Naiman became an executive director for the Hall of Fame, the International Hall of Fame of Motorsports. But I mean, there's all kinds of history and whatnot. But I mean, from the fan side, if you're ever wanting to go to Talladega, I think we can all three speak for this. Is the camping experience is unmatched. It's a eye opening experience for just to see the amount of people that's there in their tents and in pretty much everything. It's like old buses. It's just a fantastic environment. In
Bring
all
whipped cream.
honesty, yeah, whipped cream is essential. So is cooking utensils in a grate for the grill.
And earplugs. You ain't got to hear somebody yell at their wife or somebody's wife yell at them 24/7 right beside you.
It's like marriage simulator.
This chick said, "You don't love me."
Look, for our listeners, I'll tell you, it was for our my bachelor weekend, and my wife said, "Look, if you don't want to," she's like, essentially, if you don't think I want to hear a story, just don't tell me. I haven't told her crap about that trip. I mean that the infield at Talladega, it is let's just say no place for children.
It's lawless.
Yeah.
It's the Wild West.
I mean, if y'all are ever familiar with the story of like Sodom and Gomorrah, I mean that that place gives Sodom and Gomorrah a run for their money in all sorts of different ways.
I don't know if you're trying to sell the camping experience or you're not.
But if you're, it's definitely interesting. I think every race fan should go at least once.
It's a lot of fun. I mean, it really is. We had a good time together, and the boulevard is always interesting.
Mm-hmm.
We didn't do it, but it's just a party 24/7 on the boulevard, pretty much.
Constant music going on. So I mean, if you're planning to get sleep, probably buy a camper.
Yeah.
And invest some headphones that are like,
Yeah,
pretty decent quality.
If you're anywhere near the boulevard, you ain't sleeping.
yeah,
Download some really heavy metal Christian music
yeah. Like,
that really touches your soul. Or you can have Daniel scream in your ear when you're trying to sleep.
yeah, if you want to camp and if you're taking the family, I recommend going to the free camping across the road from the track.
Yeah.
It is free over there.
Yeah.
That's where I would recommend.
I regret nothing.
I will accept the tent, right?
Yeah.
That tent made it through 2 camping trips. That's the best that it could do, okay?
We ought to bring Matt Gandy on to see if he wants to ever talk about his Talladega experience.
Poor man.
Boy.
I remember I was laying one way, like the way we were sleeping. It was me, Blake, and Daniel.
We
Each had we had a different air mat. Who cares?
All socks.
But
I'll stop. Well,
and I was facing Blake, and Daniel's he's over in his world, and then we're asleep, and we just hear Blake and I simultaneously open our eyes and look at each other. We're like, "What the heck is in our tent?" And we hear it again. And it was Daniel beside us having a night terror.
and he
I
was
guess he was.
completely sober about.
I guess he was running from a gym. I don't know, but
So if this doesn't tell you guys, I mean, you should get some tickets to go to Talladega.
Yes,
memories, man.
and
The memory.
it's very cheap too, honestly.
Yeah, especially when you don't pay for it.
If you split it, but yeah, shout out to Cole for for forking out most of that bill.
Goodness me.
Oh, man.
But yeah, fan experience. Go to the racetrack. Fantastic infield. The infield garage area is fantastic. I mean, you can go to during practice days and just sit there and watch the crewmen work. It's pretty neat. You can watch the drivers from the chain link fence. We watched the truck race. Me and Austin did, and that was a great experience because we didn't have to sit in that freaking sun the whole entire time. That was great because it is hot in the summertime. It is hot.
And to piggyback off that too, if you go to driver introduction, you walk exactly where the drivers have to in order to get out there. I was able to meet Parker Kligerman and a couple.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, and so that's another good part of that too. Dirt track too across the road. That's a great time.
Telling you boys, we had some wild times at Talladega. It's been wild. Goodness gracious.
Man,
But yeah, that's a fan experience out of Talladega. If that doesn't sell you on getting tickets, I don't know what will. Yeah, spicy takes, right? A little recap from this weekend. Blake said they would announce the 2026 Cup race at the Rock. They did not at the track. They did not mention that at all, and I hope that they do, but it wasn't mentioned. Austin said that Sawalich was going to get a top 10.
Thanks, Leg.
He did in ARCA. He finished second in ARCA, but I think he meant Xfinity, so that's what we'll go with there. Kent said 2 to 3 cautions for tire-related accidents. Not really. Maybe one, technically. And then I said the ARCA cautions. The Xfinity race definitely outdid the ARCA cautions. I can throw that out there. I wasn't there for half the race, but I know there wasn't 15 cautions before, so I think I got my spicy take for once this week, so that's great. So we'll throw it to Kent's first since he already sent Austin his.
Kent first.
Yeah, go ahead.
2311 repeats as the spring winner at Dega.
He said Riley Herbst is going to win this race.
he's got that.
He did not. He did not, right? He did not. He said it'll be Reddick, Weber, or Riley.
What about you, Austin? What do you think this week?
Give me. I think there will be 45 lead changes. The average is around 37.
Pretty good. I'll take it. That's pretty wild. What about you, Mr. Balaco?
You know what? I'm gonna just go with the obvious, boys. Cletus gets a top 5 in the ARCA race.
Wow, you ain't gonna say he's gonna win it? Man, that's messed up.
You know what? Frick it, he wins it.
Yeah. He won his sim racing the other day at Talladega. Him and Hocevar were racing together, and they ended up winning. So maybe Hocevar would get a ride in ARCA race and just push him the whole entire time, just like he did at the sim race. You know what? I say that we see Eric Jones win the race this weekend.
Okay.
He's really good at plate tracks. Has a really good average finish, in all honesty, at Talladega, which most of the time that's just surviving. So, I mean, you run in the back a lot. Sometimes you just survive those wrecks and whatnot. But that's what I'm going to go with. I'm going to go with Eric Jones gets the old Dubsky. So,
The old Dubsky Wubsky.
the Wubsky Dubs. So, I'm going to throw it to Austin. We had our truck and Xfinity picks last week, and we're picking Xfinity and Cup this week as the trucks are off.
Yarr. So, just to recap, where we are at, Rockingham, this past weekend, Blake came in first this week with Corey Heim, finishing P8. Cole came in second with Sammy Smith, finishing P16.
Should have picked him for the Xfinity race.
No. Kent came in third with Brandon Jones finishing P17. And then I came in last with Ty Majeski finishing P31. Sad. Because he was having a pretty good race up until the end there. We don't pick trucks this week. We'll pick them next week for Texas. But regular season standings, Blake has taken the lead in the trucks with 19 points. I'm in second with 8. Is third with 17. Nicole is last with 16. So 16,
Woohoo!
17, 18, 19. We are all right there together, just snuggled up nice and cozy.
We're all teenagers.
Looking at Xfinity at Rockingham, it came in first place this weekend with Brandon Jones finishing P12. Really, our guys didn't really finish well this week.
Because they all got in that. It's like we got on that wreck at the end of the race because Christian Eckes couldn't hit the gas pedal. There wasn't no gas in it.
Blake picked Ryan Sieg, P18. Cole came in third with Lil Gator, P21. And then I came in last again. Not a good week for me, with Sam Mayer finishing P26. What's up?
I finished second this week.
It's just the end of the race. All our drivers wreck, and I'm like, well, Austin's winning this week. 4 laps later, Mayer's in the wall.
Yep, it was horrible week. Yeah. So looking,
Shake it off.
I
Shake it
know,
off.
shake it off. Like,
Taylor Swift.
No,
yeah, her, yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Let's see. Looking ahead, I have first pick this weekend. I'm going to RCR. Yeah, give me love. Give me
Back to
love.
back wins.
Back last.
Yeah,
DQ'd again.
I swear. Cole, you pick next, my friend. You cannot pick Bell, Love, or Algier. Who you going with?
I am taking Brandon Poole this weekend.
Oh,
That's a good pick. It's a good pick.
If he don't wreck, we're all right.
All right, Blake, you can't pick Algier, Mayer, or Sieg. Who you rolling with?
Austin Hill.
Yeah, kind of figures. Poor Kent.
I almost
Kent,
Matt the Vendetta if nobody picked Hill, but I'm like, well, might as well go for the obvious.
let's see. Kent is rolling with Almirola based on who's left.
Well, hey, he's won at Talladega before.
Was Love, and then I told him that I was picking first, and he was like, then it was Austin Hill, and then Almirola was his third pick. So Kent
Who was his
has
fourth? I'm
This is
curious.
for
Creed. Creed.
That's a good one too.
All right, so that's Talladega. Reviewing the points, I'm still in the lead with 28 points. Ken is in second with 25. Cole is in third with 24. Blake is last with 23 points. Blake, you got to turn it around in the Xfinity Series, my boy.
I'm rooting for Austin Hill this week.
Words that have never been said by Blake before.
Now, I actually don't mind Austin Hill. I know y'all don't really like, but I don't mind Austin Hill.
I don't hate Austin Hill. Sometimes he just rubs me the wrong way. It kind of depends.
Yeah.
Are we going to preview Cup just a
Yes.
little bit? Okay.
Yeah, so we're done with Xfinity. So looking ahead to Cup, just to review, Blake, you are picking first this weekend going into Dega, the pick that nobody wants to pick first at because it's a crapshoot. You can't pick Byron, you can't pick Larson, you can't pick Hamlin. Two of those are not good ones to be out on a plate track.
Yeah.
Who are you leaning towards looking at going into this weekend?
Logano or Blaney.
Pick one.
Let's go. Blaney.
Yeah, I feel like that's the smart pick because I mean he's got the highest average finish of all the Cup drivers except for Byron, I think.
Chase Elliott has one that's higher than him too.
Oh, really?
11.8. Yeah.
So, okay, so you're going Blaney. Let's see. I'm next. I pick after Blake. I cannot pick Larson. No issue there. And I can't pick Hamlin, and I can't pick Reddick. Those are two that I'm okay. I know Reddick's won here before. Going into this weekend, I'm honestly looking at my boy Logano. I'm looking at my guy Logano. I mean, he's. I feel like he's due for a plate track win soon. He qualifies so well and usually runs well most of the race. Just gets caught up in crap. So I'm looking at my boy Logano this weekend. Let's see. Cole, you pick next. You can't pick Reddick, Bell, or Bush. So who are you? Who are you looking at this coming weekend?
I mean, I guess I would go with the guy that's got the best average finish, 7.7 of Willie B.
Mm. Would you
Two
spend a
top fives and 4 top tens, and I don't see him winning Texas. I don't see it.
Do you spend him this early though? I mean, do you spend him on a plate track though?
Well, he won the one plate track this year, so I mean, it is what it is.
I mean, you got Kansas coming up too, so I just didn't know.
I think someone else is going to win Kansas,
Yeah.
in all honesty.
Same.
So that is our picks. Looking at our regular season standings, as we mentioned last week, Kent did a complete flip last week.
About time for that curse to come back, if you ask me.
Do what?
It's about time for that kink curse to come back, if you ask me.
In a single week, Kent went from last to second, and Blake went from second to last. So I'm sitting in first place with 29 points. Kent is sitting in second with 25. Cole third with 22. Blake is last with 21 points. What's been saving Kent? It's those stage wins. He's been able to manipulate getting those stage wins.
Hey, cheating.
He's paying NASCAR, but that's been the big factor for him. But yeah, next week we'll recap Dega, and then we'll be picking for.
Yeah.
That'll
Just
be
the
a fun
quietness.
episode, boys.
The quietness just Texas.
It's been a tad bit better in the last couple of years. I mean, I don't know. People like Dale Jr. been like, "Is Texas back?" And I'm like,
No.
I mean, and I know it sounds kind of prideful to go up against Junior, right? But I mean, it's clear. Like, they're never going to run the high line in turn one, right? Because it's straight up marbles. You're not going to run the high line in 3 and 4. I'm like, might as well turn it into another Atlanta or build a.
Put dirt on it.
Yeah. I mean, why not at this point?
Call it the Dirty Texas race or something.
What city is Texas in? Is it, or not city? What city is? Shut up, Cole. What city is the track in?
I think it's in Laredo.
That would be a perfect place.
Yeah.
Because all it is dust.
It's called the Dust Bowl.
Yeah. It's in Fort Worth.
Oh, okay. That's a little bit better.
Not much, but.
Austin forgot to mention who Kent was considering. I got it for him. He's considering John Hunter Nemechek.
All right. Well,
Average finish of 30 seconds.
Are you serious?
No, he's not.
Dang it.
No.
That's a pretty easy win this week.
I was hoping. The only person that has a worse average finish at Talladega is Greg Biffle. 30.
The Biff.
The Biff. But that's just the recent races. The last Talladega race that he raced. My goodness.
Ultimately, it's going to be a crapshoot. So.
Yep. So maybe one of our drivers will make it through the victory cycle, but I doubt it. All right, that is it for us this week. I hope you guys enjoy Dega, and just make sure you enjoy it to the utmost potential that you can, especially with it raining and everything, because I've got to watch Texas the week after. Yeah. I don't think there's anything that can save Texas from being Texas. The state's nice, the racetrack's not.
Maybe a repave.
A bulldozer. And with that, we are a wrecking ball. And with that, we're out. See you guys later.